We out there now. Can't take it back. Okay. We live.
So you have a low network, a low network connection. But it's going.
So we're going to give everybody a few minutes to tune on in. This is our town hall meeting. I am very, very concerned about what's happening in our city as one of the leaders in the city.
Got another error.
So we have to be very aware about what is going on in our city and how we come to solutions. We can always identify problems. So tonight is about having a town hall meeting and really just having a living room conversation with you. It's important that we, as a community, we don't start pointing fingers at one another, that we recognize at the end of the day, it's really all about us coming together. And so tonight I want to introduce some who I think are some fantastic citizens, just ordinary citizens. I know that people thought, oh, she's going to have all these big names and all of that. But at the end of the day, what we're concerned about is making sure everybody has a voice. And so I'll start on this end. Everybody tell our audience who's your name and what you represent. And then we'll start our conversation off talking about issues that actually impact everyday citizens.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Councilor Scales, for giving me the opportunity to be in this town hall. My name is Jarvis Guy. I am president of What's Happening in Birmingham and also First Impressions Marketing Group.
My turn. I'm Carol Hatcher, and I'm a consultant for IDC. And I'm just here thankful for the opportunity from Councilor Scales to invite us to be able to have this type of conversation and to be able to share our thoughts and maybe even gain a little wisdom or give wisdom. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm Darien Johnson, sophomore at Huffman High School.
Hi everybody, my name is Eric Wynn and I represent the WAR Foundation. WAR is an acronym for We're All Related. It's a non-profit private organization. I'm from Gate City, the Gate City community. It's a very violent community, and what we're trying to do is spread love, unity, and peace throughout all communities in the city of Birmingham. I want to thank personally Lashunda Scales and her leadership and her ability to get people together and rally the troops, because we need events like this. We need town hall meetings to address issues and more importantly, come up with solutions, how we can make our communities better, safer for everybody.
Hey everyone, my name is Maya Moores. I go to Huffman High School and I play soccer, and I was in the classroom with Cortland after she passed away, so I'll tell you what happened after she passed away in classroom.
I'm Phyllis Green. I represent the WAR organization. We're all related. Councilwoman Scales, thank you for the opportunity to be here with all of you tonight. I look forward to sharing ideas and trying to come up with some solutions to these issues that face us.
Yeah, so here's one of the things that I know that will interest you, and this is the reason why I had my Huffman High School students here tonight. We're going to talk about gun violence. Most of the time when people talk, they always talk about crime. Well, no, we have specific crimes that are happening in the city of Birmingham that's not only making local news, national news, and world news. One of the things that happened on last week is one of our students at Huffman High School was killed by another student at Huffman High School. Darien obviously is a student at Huffman. He's going to talk to you about how he feels that things needed to have been dealt with a different way. And then, of course, you got Mia. Mia is talking about she was actually in the classroom with Cortland when this incident happened. So just imagine, I just want you to think about this. As a sophomore in high school, the teacher herself is 25 years old. And we have a student who sees another student being shot, later dies by another student. So, come on, let's talk to our Facebook family. Tell them how you feel about it, Mia.
It was heartbreaking. It was sad. It was sad because, like, I saw this girl. She was, like, she ain't did nothing wrong. She died over nothing. And this student came in a classroom with a gun, and for no entire reason, this school is not safe. I'm just thinking, this school ain't safe no more, and they need to do better than what they did after Cortland died. They need to do better. The cops need to walk around and search everybody's book bag. They need to start using them protectors. Like last time, they was not using them protectors at all. They need to start using them. That I'm just sick and tired of people not using them, but they use them for sports and stuff. You supposed to been doing them immediately. Like after we come to school, check everything. Don't like let everybody come to school with a weapon, because like it's not gonna be a good school if you come to school with a weapon, because they gonna think that's a bad school. I don't want my students to go. Like my kids don't want to go there no more. I'm gonna take my children out because y'all ain't doing nothing. The principal ain't doing nothing. Y'all just want these kids to die, but we don't. We just want the kids to be protective. But that's all I want, because the principal is not bad, but he just need to like he need to tell these cops to do what they supposed to do. Like when I go to the lunchroom, I see the cops just sitting down and doing nothing except for like walking around the hallway and everything. Like these cops just sitting down in the lunchroom, just doing nothing, just talking to each other, and that's not what cops do. Cops need to protect kids and everybody. Like it doesn't matter, black, white, it doesn't matter. You have to protect them regardless. Like don't like stand there and just stay in the hallway, start talking to each other, because like that's not what cops supposed to do. Like I want to be a cop one day. I'm not finna stand there and just sit down and just talk. I'm gonna protect these kids regardless from my life. Like why I want to be a cop, it doesn't matter if I get shot or killed. I want these kids to be protective and like just grow up and have a great life, and that's it.
So what do you got to say about that, Darien?
Well, being a sophomore, I wasn't in the class when this occurred, but as I've told plenty of people, seeing it on the news, in other schools is sad, but when it happens in your school, it's a little worse. In my honest opinion, as she said, I do believe metal detectors should have been in place at the time, and this could have possibly been prevented. But at the same time, we students have to stand up for what's right. We have to be held accountable for our actions, which means, SROs is good, having them there. Police presence is good. Metal detectors are good. But once we're searched in the morning time, during the course of the day, you still have time to walk out. And everybody knows if you're in high school, you can definitely put anything in the door and it won't close. So, if we're opening doors for our fellow classmates after they've walked out, we don't know what they're bringing in. And, as I said to many other people, if you are opening up doors, you can expect this to happen again. Because metal detectors and checks for book bags and things like that are only temporary for that time being. But once you leave and depart, it's just like I can go outside and grab anything, and I'm positive somebody will let me in. So, we have to be held for our actions, accountable for our actions.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I talked about too. I said, I just didn't understand why the students knew about the gun being at school. So many people knew about it, but nobody told the principal. Nobody talked. And one of the things that people always talk about, snitches get stitches. And I get it. But here's something that I want us to recognize too as a community is that, another part of the conversation is now we're talking about gun violence in the community. It's almost like every day, every other day, someone is being killed in Birmingham. And, and then you got to say to yourself at some point, it's like this happens with Cortland. I always want to call her my niece, but Cortland. And then I think that was just a few days later, a young African-American male, 18 years old, shot and killed, and his body is dumped somewhere. And at some point, you got to just say, as a community, something's real wrong. I mean, and Eric, you can talk to everybody about how you feel about that. Just violence in the community. Why does that seem like that's getting to be our normal?
I think I know we've created a violent culture in a lot of these communities. And it's not by design of the community, but the government. And that's why we need people in positions. If you take a look at the most violent communities, and I'm talking about the communities like Gate City, Kingston, Titusville, these are fatherless communities. I was in Gate City the other day, and right before I was scheduled to meet with Ms. Scales, and it was 2 kids, they was fighting. And when I went to try to intervene, I was talking to the parent, the mother of one of the child, and she was telling me that she teaches her child, if somebody hits you, hit them back. The little child that got involved in the altercation, I know him personally, and he's a good kid. He's a smart, young kid. He's maybe 11 years old. What we're doing in these communities, in these violent communities, we're raising these kids up to be violent. They're not being taught conflict resolution. 11 years old, and when you hear your mother say, if somebody hits you, hit them back. And if you don't hit them back, then don't come home. You're telling the brother, hey, look, if somebody hits your brother, you guys attack him. This is what these kids are learning at 10, 11 years old. And that can't happen. It goes against everything we're doing with the War Foundation. We're trying to establish a relationship in these communities between kids, starting with the youth. Get them to realize we're all related. And they'll buy into that. But it's in the home, and more normal, you see a mother raising these kids by themselves. And that's hard. That's a hard task. We know that these mothers can't do what God designed 2 people to do by themselves. So I think we have to support these communities where violence is heavy. You got communities like Avondale where you have 4-year-old kids being innocent murdered. And the altercations always be small or minute. These kids got into a fight because one was talking about the other. And I heard the mother say, if he bigger than you, pick up a ball. So what happens is when these kids are 11, they're being taught this, they turn into 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and that's when the gun culture. If you take a look at social media, it's so accepted to post pictures of guns. We have rappers talking about guns, and these kids want to be accepted. They want to fit in, and so they're carrying guns to be cool, and they're getting in altercations, and they don't know how to solve conflict in a proper way, and so they're ending up, in more cases than not, dead or in jail. So I think it's important to create a positive, safe atmosphere for these kids, and it's going to take a lot of leadership from the top. It's going to take a lot of people to just kind of pour into these communities, and that's what we want to do with this foundation. But it's so disheartening when we have so many people that care about these kids and want to help them, and so they can grow, and they're being taught in the homes, unfortunately.
And you know, that's something that Carol and Phyllis can talk about because one of the things we were talking about the other night is how they go into Gate City. And even Carol, as a white woman, can go into a black neighborhood and basically command the attention of these children. But it's all because they're seeing the love and they see Carol. And it goes back to what you were talking about. You know, women, even though we can be very, very strong, I look at myself as a very strong woman, but I understand I'm still not a man. So if I'm raising a boy, I don't have the capacity to teach him really how to be a man. I can teach him how to be a gentleman and do little gentleman-like things. But when it comes down to certain parts of his life, it don't matter how much I know and feel like I'm strong and all of that. It takes a man to teach a boy how to become a man. And so, you know, I want you all to talk about what you all do in Gate City and the impact that you all are making a difference just one person at a time.
It's interesting when I go to Gate City, the first time that I went there, you know, I am a white female.
That's right.
And going into a predominantly Afro-American community, I was looked at very strangely, like, why are you here? It's important for all of us to understand that we are all related. We all need to get outside of our boxes.
That's right.
Go into these communities, show love to these children, to these adults, bring us all together, and everyone hopefully will get away from all of this violence. You've got to show love to people. It doesn't matter. I've been going to Gate City now for about 4 to 5 months with Eric. when I first met Eric, he said, I'll have to interview you before you can be a part of WAR. And I said, okay. And he said, now I'm in town this weekend. I'm visiting some family, and we're in Gate City. And I said, I'll be right there. And I think he almost choked when I said, I'll be right there, But when I drove in, I felt at home. Yeah. I feel at home there now.
Yeah.
So much love. So much love there. And it's because I got outside of my box. And I wanted to go in those communities and make a difference. It's important to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Important.
Well, I want to just add to that by stating that when I was growing up, our neighborhoods were communities where we had little small villages. So I couldn't get away with much because Miss Seymour was going to see me or Miss Reed was going to see me. That has gone away. I think that we think that when we send our kids to school, that the school is supposed to grow them up. When we send them to church, that the church is supposed to do it. But it's really up to us as a community, as a family, as a group of families to raise these kids. When we go into those areas like Miss Phyllis is talking about, Gate City and Titusville and Kingston, all we're doing is sitting there listening. 90% of the time, they want an ear. We're hugging on them. We're giving them conversation. We're listening to their problems, their issues, even as it relates to their parents. And we don't ask or judge or try to figure out why they're where they are. We just meet them where they are. And I think that once you allow them to see that you have real interest, genuine concern, that you can help tool the way they begin to think about life. We also talk to them about doing things outside of their normal, being away from the crowd that you're normally with, so that you can expand the way you look at life, the way you view things, the way you see people. And when she and I first went in, I said, hey, let me give you these rules, because they're going to think we're the po-po once we get there. And we're not the po-po, and we don't want to get into confrontation, so here are the rules. And so basically we just, I just say, be kind, speak. If confrontation starts, back up, keep walking, look them directly in the eye, because they normally will drop their heads when you're around. But I just think those little basic things of concern, love, hugs, even kisses. Sometimes we buy them lunch. Sometimes we take lunch, whatever is required. And 90% of the time, those kids will open up. And I think that when you get inside their head, you'll be able to change that. And once you get there, you'll be able to change their hearts. And you'll be able to show them something different than where they are.
And so, won't you chime on in there too, Jarvis? I know you quiet over there. He want to break out, everybody. Y'all just don't know. But talk about, you and I have some very serious conversations about, the route that we believe that just the community at large is going. It don't take much for people to just kind of pop off at you. And that's symptomatic of, we talking about angry children, we have angry parents. So the angry children are a byproduct of the angry parents. And so that's another conversation. But come on, talk on. I mean, you know how to do it, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you again for the opportunity. Just like when you were speaking, Cortland, right? Earlier, two words came in: conflict resolution. And a lot of people don't know how to resolve conflict. And it's like when it starts off small, it just escalates and escalates and escalates. So that was one thing I was like, maybe we need to teach everybody about conflict resolution. So I just talking about the little kids, because they just copy us. But the other thing, I'm where I'm at tonight, library. I went to Birmingham City Schools from K through 6. I went to Curry, then I went to Robinson. I always just go to East Lake Park in the summertime for library read the books. I think our kids don't have enough activities. I feel like if we give them a lot of activities, keep them busy, and also, jobs, which is another subject, a lot of this stuff will probably reduce. It won't be eliminated, but be reduced. So I think that the people are like, whether it's the business community or people that want to make a change, we got to go to these communities. We can't just sit and talk about it and say, well, I'm too afraid to go in there. Or like where you went, they probably thought you was going to get drugs.
That's one thing they thought.
So, people who are successful and established, because don't think that what fits over there does eventually come to you. Like I always tell a person, you always need to look out for the children that's, advanced, and watch out for the one behind. Because the one that's left behind, that's going to be the one that eventually may rob you. So you got to remember, take care of everybody.
That's right.
Like what they always tell people, you know, not trying to get too controversial, political and stuff, about charter schools. Then when they say no child left behind, everybody needs to. You didn't get all the kids. You just not need to leave one by itself, because that one by itself, it just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And I think I read a study that if a child is behind by the 3rd grade, it's just that cycle that continues. So I think, you know, it all circles back to education and all circles back to jobs. But most importantly, we got to keep these kids busy so they don't resort to crime and other things. Because the reason why a lot of this crime goes on is because a lot of kids ain't got nothing to do.
And you know, and so you bring up a subject, because I know we got to, you know, there's only so much time that we can talk on Facebook Live and people really are tuned in. But I want to end on this note, because we're going to be doing more of this, having these conversations. I mean, very just frank. We're not trying to dress it up. Here's the deal. When we talk about violence in the school, a lot of people wouldn't understand. That's why I want Amia to be here tonight. She now has nightmares about what happened. So we're talking about and what we think is an incident, but she got to live there for the rest of her life. Her parents no longer have a child. And if it was left up to me, you know, I had a conversation with Mom today. The reason why I'm talking about it is because my niece was shot in the head in Chicago. It is a cold case. My sister had to restart her life. This girl was 24 years old with children. And consequently, you know, nobody wanted to talk. So that the snitch gets stitches and all that stuff. We think that's cute and it rhymes, but it hurts families. So that's why I wanted to talk about the 3 main areas tonight. And I want to make the main thing is gun violence. We don't just want to talk about crime. We talk about crime involving guns. And so the last thing that I was talking about is guns in the workplace. I mean, just yesterday, we had someone to kill an individual. And here, Jarvis, you knew the young man who killed himself, so it was a murder-suicide. He shot one of the ladies, Miss Nancy, and she had been at the hospital for a very long time. My understanding, the gentleman got fired, but nevertheless, he killed himself in the process and shot one of his co-workers. At some point, we're going to have to be honest and say, you know what? Because we text all the time, we social media all the time, we do so much not talking until when we do have to see one another face to face, the first thing I'm going to do is get mad. Don't say something I don't like, because next thing you know, I'm going to pop off at you. So that's going to be a part of our next discussion, you all. I want you to tune in. We're not trying to fuzz it up, make it fancy. We're not trying to be political. We want real answers. So tonight, one of the things I want you to carry home, 3 things: violence, gun violence in our schools. These students have been touched by what happened to Cortland Arrington. Then we're talking about violence in our community. We've got to do something about angry adults who also help to be a mentor, or they're serving as the figure in the household. Now we have angry children. And then you're talking about the other thing of, we got to get some skill set. We got to start developing one another. I don't want us to just come and have just point fingers and say, here are the problems. We're talking about solutions. But you are a part of that solution. At some point, I want you to be able to share this, like us on Facebook, and you tell us, hey, here's my idea. And that's fine. Who's to say? We may ask you to come and be a part of this conversation where people can see who you are. It takes each one to reach one, each one to teach one. And you never look down on a person unless you plan to pick them up. So we've enjoyed you being with us tonight. Go back over what we talked about. You'll be hearing back from us soon. Everybody wave bye-bye. And just know that we're here tonight because you matter. And we want everybody here tonight to have a voice. So thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Facebook Live Town Hall meeting. You'll be seeing us in a neighborhood near you. Thank you.